messed up.
How do you say yarrow?
Welcome to How Do You Say Yarrows?
How do you say yarrow? How do you say yarrow?
It'll be all the fun in the world.
Hey, what it do?
Yo, mom. How do you say yarrows? What up?
We say it like a bunch of bosses.
Yo, like we from Boston.
Yeah, wicked smart. What are we gonna talk about today, Adam?
Today, this is, I didn't even know this was on our list of topics.
I think I wrote it down like when I woke up one day or something
Okay.
like that.
We're gonna talk about the humble brag.
Ah!
Oh, we didn't time that. This is real. So we have not, like, sometimes when we do these bigger topics,
Yeah.
we will run through like some things that, like, the logic
Literally,
of
we'll
progression.
do like a quick bullet list, and that's it.
Yeah,
we
we're not-
won't discuss, but we'll do like, do you want to like talk about these bullets, and that's it. Other times we don't prep at all.
And this is a non-prep. So this conversation, I just want to give a disclaimer. We have no idea where this is going to go.
That's true. We're just gonna. This is some reactions in the moment.
All right. So, should we define the humble brag?
It's a really unique red color for that BM. What is that called?
That is a Volkswagen Beetle.
Punch buggy, no punch backs.
Ah! That's what you're doing?
Anyway.
No, you didn't say punch buggy red, no punch bags.
Aw, dang it!
Did I hurt you?
No.
Okay, good. I guess
Okay.
there's evidence of me hurting Gabby.
No, it didn't hurt. Okay,
Thank you.
so the humble brag. Let us define what is the humble brag in America.
It is, I would say, it is trying to pretend that you're humble, but really using it as an opportunity to brag. For example, I am so grateful that so many of you have subscribed to our YouTube channel that I've been able to buy a brand new castle. It is only because of your love that I could afford these enormous granite countertops, the Tesla in my front yard, and of course, the butler, cook, and candlestick maker.
Well, that'd be cool. Well, yeah, I think now I remember when because I had heard on the radio something like, people were talking about, like, what people say. You know how, like, you go to a job interview and they say, like, what's one thing you do badly?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I care too much, so I listen to people's problems.
Were you thinking about The Office Ladies?
No, it wasn't. No, was that on The Office Ladies?
I don't know if they got to this.
It was just on the radio. It was just like a little quick snippet on the radio, and they were going through like other things they've seen people do, like on the group online that was like saying, you know, people were like, oh, like I'm so generous, that, like, you know, I just give so much to others that, like, I'm just, you know, like things like that.
Look
right?
at that.
That's beautiful scenery right now.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, I looked up the humble bragging is the phenomenon that the online says. Okay, so humble bragging, this is just literally like a first search. Okay, it's saying defined as bragging masked by a complaint or humility, actually makes people like you less than straight up self-promotion, the research says. The findings were published recently in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. It's such a common phenomenon. And then also it says, in June 30th, 2020, it says that, interestingly, the humble brag has only recently entered our social lexicon, thanks to the rise of, any idea what?
Instagram.
Good job. Social media. Some credit the term to the late Parks and Recreation producer Harris Whittles. I have no idea if that's true.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea. But, you know, it's like, you know, it's just, it's like saying you're acting like I'm being so self-deprecating or something like that, but you're, you know, oh, like, oh, I'm just always so cold because I'm so tiny and skinny. Come on. That's a humble brag. That's one of the girls, that's the worst with girls. They're always doing that.
The classic humble brag.
Oh my gosh.
For
Or like, these pants are just like too loose. Like, so embarrassing. Like, yeah, okay, you're embarrassed because your pants are too loose. Right?
Okay, you're inferring the person lost weight.
Yeah, you're inferring, like, instead just say, wow, my pants are loose. Like, I'm killing it. Like, I'm losing weight, or I'm so thin, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what you read there, and first, I love Parks and Recreation, so huge fan if that is part
If
of it.
that's true, I don't know. That's awesome.
But so the basic concept in this, and what you read from that article, and we have no other research to back up the claims of this
Absolutely.
article.
No
But I
other
do
research.
actually agree. My initial impulse is that'd be correct.
Yeah.
Because I dislike a humble brag more than like, because I've seen people like post online, say, using weight loss as the easy example here of like,
Right.
or even anything else of like, hey, I've been working really hard to finish my degree. I've worked really hard to lose 20 pounds or whatever it is. I usually kind of cheer for that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's
because-
awesome. It's just outright, like,
Yeah,
I've worked
like-
hard for this.
Yeah, there's an excitement,
pumped.
like,
Yeah.
but it's been like, kind of the awkward passive brag. Humble brag is almost more passive bragging in a lot of ways to me. Yeah, I agree. Awkward moment, because it's like, okay, you want to say this, but you aren't really saying it. And usually on social media, it's the most awkward moment of the world in me, because it's like, okay, it's not even a side comment.
Yeah.
You're intentionally trying to do a humble brag, which online I think just fails
Right,
dramatically.
you've cultivated. That's funny. Right, like, in order to write that and, like, set it up like that post,
Yeah.
you've cultivated that post. You didn't just, like, put it up.
Yeah, or there's something wrong. Because
little bit.
I would say, like, well, there is a humble brag at some points, but,
Yeah.
like, say, actually a person could, I think, say, like, oh, okay, oh, that didn't fit well. It was a little so, like, I think there could be
Sure,
a
no, of
genuine
course,
reaction.
of
Like,
course.
that's not saying all those are.
Some of it is up for interpretation.
Sure.
And definitely, I know that I've fallen victim of, like, or not victim, but guilty of, where I think something is a humble brag. And maybe that person meant it genuinely. They just have a awkward way of saying it. Like, maybe
Sure.
they really do feel badly about that thing. But, you know, like I remember, okay, I was in high school.
Mhm.
And we had a friend who really was always was very self-conscious. And
Okay.
she was very pretty, you know, all these things. And but, you know, she could be very self-conscious. And so I'm not really proud of how I handled it, but it was in response to a humble brag. So she she was trying on outfits for an upcoming dance, and she tried on all the outfits for the girlfriends.
Mhm.
And she's also very wealthy, this friend and her family. So all the dresses she tried on were like $100 plus, and some like a couple hundred.
Okay.
They're just like little cocktail dresses or whatever.
Sure.
So she's trying on a couple dresses and showing the girls. And we said to each one of them, like, oh, it looks amazing. Like, each one looks beautiful. You look beautiful. You could go with any of these. They're all great dresses. They're
Sure.
beautiful. Whatever. And, you know, at the end, you know, she's like, oh, it's just like, I just have, like, too many, like, nice dresses. I don't know. Like, this is, like, oh, it's, like, embarrassing. Like, and I don't know, like, if I look, like too skinny in them. Like, am I too skinny, you know? Like, it's just, I probably, you know? And it's like, no, you're, like, you know, you're not. So, I mean, I don't know if that qualifies as exactly a humble brag or, like, fishing for compliments. I guess there's a fine line.
I think a humble brag and fishing for compliments kind of, I think there's a,
Similar.
I think they kind of like crisscross worlds. I guess
Yeah.
they're different.
Different. They're
But-
done differently.
They're done, but at the same time, they could overlap. Like, you could have a
Yeah.
humble brag that is fishing for compliments at the same time. It's a very
Exactly.
complicated world. But, like,
Exactly.
so the reason I referenced The Office, ladies, here, a great podcast, not sponsored yet.
Yeah.
As we always would say here, we're waiting for that day. They weren't humble bragging there, but I was thinking particularly the episode, Michael Scott's going up for a job in corporate, and they ask him for his weaknesses, and he says, I work too hard, I care too much, things like that. That's where I was making the reference, too.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
which I feel like oftentimes that's more the case for guys. It's, you know, we take great, yet again, not trying to use a gender stereotype, but I think it's often like, oh, how much effort did you put into something? What did you do?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, you kind of like, you know, you could use that as like, okay, I've done this much, but it's really just saying, yo, I'm done all these things, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like a suffering saint type of thing.
Ooh, yeah.
Which, you know, there's nothing. One, I think there is a healthy way of like, you know, you need to always be cultivating healthy boundaries and thought concepts on that. But there's also like, okay, like, are you? One is, if you're doing too much, do we have to figure out a way to help you in that? Like, because that there could be a real moment, or if not, or is that using this as a way of like, oh, I'm doing so much?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess the bottom line, I would prefer I guess a humble brag feels dishonest. That's my
Okay,
main
yeah.
issue. It feels a little dishonest, whether the dishonesty is actually directed towards me or to their own self.
Yeah.
Because like they're saying it, and like when we say it, like we're kind of like fooling ourselves. Like, I'm so humble, and you're thinking that you're so humble, and like, but you still want people to know how awesome you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're putting it out in the world that way. And I just think it would be better if people were just honest about it, And I mean, that could be still awkward because you can't just go around praising yourself.
Sure.
So that's the problem. You can't just go around praising yourself.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
You can't do that. But maybe instead of saying like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted and I feel like I'm so bad at managing my time because I've just like this week, I've just been working like after hours. Like I've been here since, like 3 hours late at work each day this week because I'm just working so hard and I want to do such a good job and I want to make sure all my work is done neatly and well. Instead, because there, I think in essence, maybe what you're saying is I really do regret how I managed my time.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just want to make sure everyone knows you stayed at work late?
Yeah.
Because you want validation for that.
Yeah.
So maybe figure out the goal,
Mhm.
and then you could say, on the one hand, you could say, if the goal is to say, I actually really am, I'm worried about how I mismanaged my time, I need to get home sooner, you could say that without, indicating how many hours you were late at work every day, and like really emphasizing how perfect your work product is because of it, and glorifying that. And you could instead say, I'm really worried about, I feel like I worked really late. On the one hand, there were some good things, good products of my work. On the other hand, I don't think it's sustainable for me. So then you could still like note the great in it, but also note the real of what you're looking to actually change,
Yeah. Well, I think that's a real part. Or if it is like, say you are working for this huge project and it's not poor time management at all. Like,
yeah, then don't say it.
No, well, or I was going to say, or just genuinely be excited about it.
Exactly. Don't say like, oh, like don't feel like in order to say how happy you are about how good the work is, you have to add that self-deprecation, like that humility in the beginning, because it's false. Just say, I think I killed it at work this week. I mean, it was hard hours and I was here a long time, but like I'm really like pumped. Like, and you're saying it to the right people, like team members or whatever. You're like, I feel really good about this week, guys. Like, celebrate with me. And it's gonna be easier for people to celebrate with you. I think.
We're planning this big event. We're doing this huge new policy initiative,
Awesome.
whatever it is, and we put a ton of work into this. So excited about this, and like we've been pushing really hard. Like, I think that's a cool thing. Like, it's
Just
not
own it.
Yeah, like not a bad thing to own. Like, I think and agree. I think that's the deceptiveness of the humble brag. It's you're either you're trying to pretend to be, you're bragging, but you have to try to pretend to be humble. And not saying that you should always be doing some things like that, but it's okay to. I think sometimes we get it confused between being excited about something and bragging about it too.
Totally.
Because there is like a I think there's like, and
you're right.
using like sports is an easy one.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with like, you want a big game and you're super competitive, be so excited. It deserves to be. But then there's the difference of like, how you finish at the end of it all, like, okay, are you bringing somebody else down for it, or no, we just played a game.
Yeah.
So one of the humble brags that kind of gets me is you talk about a team, but you only use the team to emphasize yourself.
Ooh.
Because I think that's a form of like,
True.
okay, like, you can like, so I think we see that often, like, say, team sports, I think is the easiest one.
Yeah.
You'll see like the person talking like, it was the team that enabled me to do this. It not in a way that, sure, they might have done it, but it is, you're really saying, I did all this, and then these people kind of did some things.
Yeah. Focus on me. Yeah.
Focus on me. I am acknowledging these peasants over there.
And that's hard to do in a good way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that can be reworded into a socially appropriate way.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just gonna, you're gonna have to wait for someone to praise you on that. I don't know if you can directly ask people to congratulate you on that. I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Well, talking about this, there was one person in life that I thought just gave a great answer to this. It was actually a former president of my college, Dr. Meyer.
Oh, nice.
And he said, what do you do when somebody gives you a compliment? And we were just talking about something, and he just said, or I don't know if I asked this, it was somehow it got on this topic, simply said, just say thank you. Like, you don't have to, because there's the moment of like, if you pretend to be falsely humble, that's kind of lying in some ways.
Nice. Wow.
You know, and you don't have to overstate it, but just say, thank you. I really appreciate. Just graciously receive it. You don't have to elaborate on it to go like be bragging, but you just thank you.
You know, that's interesting. I just find I always feel like I had to say something more.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I feel like that. But I think it's just because, like, to land the conversation there feels awkward and, like, inadequate. So, like, I feel like what I'll often do, if someone, let's say they're like, oh, I really like your pants or something random. Like, usually it's with clothes with girls. You know, like,
Sure.
I really like that outfit or something. I feel like I'll often say, like, oh my gosh, thanks. I got a great deal on it. You
Yep.
know, like, I feel like I have to
Okay.
add, like, some explanation, like, to engage in conversation because I am like, thank you so much. And then I feel like I have to, like, give some information. Or if I'm able to, like, this is very easy for me usually because I'm constantly thinking this, like, I really like that, I like that. So I'll just be like, oh my gosh, thank you. I really love your headband, whatever it is. Like, there's usually something that was already in my mind. I just didn't say it because I didn't have the chance to. So, like,
Yeah.
I'll go with that. But I do think you're right that there's a loveliness to being able to just say, thank you so much, that really made my day.
Yeah.
And just, like, accepting it.
Yeah.
Just, like, letting that brighten your day.
And I
like,
think
thank you.
also, like, not in the way that yours is very genuine, it sounds there.
Right.
But it's also like, okay,
You
I'm
don't
not,
have to fill it. You're
yeah,
right.
and I'm not trying to create a false compliment either.
No, you don't want to put yourself in a position of that because
Yeah.
there's no reason for it. You're right. There's no reason for that. So that's a really good point. One other thing about humble brags, I just feel like, do you think, like, I feel like the time, especially that period during COVID when everything was quarantined and everything was shut down and we couldn't do anything, you know?
Mhm.
So, like, the days were empty. Like, we did not have plans very
Yeah.
much and all that kind of stuff.
The good days.
Well, there were some good things about those days, some very difficult things. But I do remember thinking that, especially on social media in particular, because we weren't seeing people, there was so much less of the humble brag because everyone was living a much simpler life. So it was kind of, I felt like, there's not much to brag about. And no one expects you to have anything to brag about because your day is basically get up, don't work or work virtually. You get nothing like ooh la la, sexy, fantastic is happening. You know what I mean? Like, no one's putting out these amazing pictures of travel or like
Well, yeah.
experiences or whatever. Like, you know, it's like you got to go outside and be in the sun and take a walk in the neighborhood that you have been taking a walk in for the last 40 days. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So because there was not much to brag about, there was very low, I feel like, amounts of that humble brag because it was just straight up, hey, we're doing the same thing. I'm just trying to make today survivable, you know?
That's fair.
It was kind of nice. There was some nice, and I feel like because of the simplicity of everyone's
Yeah.
world,
Well, I think there was also
less pressure for that.
I also think there was pressure of like you're not supposed to post that you're really doing anything.
You're right.
So it's not.
So who knows?
No saying one way or the other, but it's like okay, especially like when you had the mandatory stay-at-home orders initially,
Yes,
unless you're an
yes.
essential worker.
So true, so
It was like, oh, okay, so like
You could get really shamed if you were
Like-
a picture of you eating ice cream somewhere,
or like when the
that
parks
wasn't
were
in
closed.
your neighborhood.
We were in New Jersey. Like, oh, I was in a
Right.
park in New Jersey. Actually, there are police pulling people out of parks
yeah,
right now.
you're not
So it's
allowed
like,
to even be in a park.
yeah, I think there was a whole like sense of social media sense of like, don't know if somebody's gonna scream at me or honestly, I don't even. There's so many laws were changing at the time. I don't know if I'm illegal doing
I think
something
what I'm
wrong.
doing
or-
is allowed, but I'm not sure. So let
Yes.
me not brag about it.
Yes,
that's
this
so
changed
funny.
every other day this week. I was in a group of 5. Can we only have 2 now? I'm like, I don't. And then it's like this
Right.
person in California is yelling at me, but my laws are different than California, and
Right.
it's like that's. I don't.
Yeah,
over-
that's
yeah,
very
so,
true. Very true.
Good
point.
stuff.
All right, it's really helped me in my awareness of this. I
Well,
appreciate it.
we hope that you enjoy
Great job.
your brags as we are not going to be humble. We are going to ask that you just please send us some great emails at howdoyousayyaris@gmail.com. Please, of course, follow us on Instagram at Adam Yaris. We are not a weird couple that shares an Instagram account, but Gabby's off it, and, you know, honestly, I'm kind of obsessed, so I'm my own issues.
Bye.
Bye.